Yes, all of you, very welcome. Everything fine? Great. So yes, let's start with the class for today. So today we have to start with the types of communication. But before that, we'll also be doing some part of yesterday's class, right? So what we will be learning in today's class is the context in communication. So this is what we'll discuss before types, and we will also discuss the listening skills. There are various types of listening on which the question gets asked in your exam. So we'll also be covering this. And then we'll move to types of communication, right? So this is what we'll be doing. Video not showing. Firdaus, please check from your side. Just fix your audio and video. Right. So yes, everyone, let's start. Okay. So first of all, I'll tell you. Yes, Meenu, absolutely. So first of all, if I tell you 2023 question, this was asked in June. So there was this question in your exam in which it was written there is this person XYZ whosoever. So he always calls his friend to a coffee shop and he discusses about his future, about his what he'll be going to do in the coming future. Like he discuss about his plans. So every time he's calling his friends to the coffee shop to discuss about his future plans, right? This is what this person used to do every time. So this time again, he has called his friend to a coffee shop. So this time again, he's calling his friends to a coffee shop. So the friends have a certain expectation in their mind that he is going to tell us about the plans. So because he always used to do this, so therefore this time also the friends has this expectation that this is going to happen. What context it is? This was the question. So the answer for this was your temporal context, right? So this was the answer. So these are the various contexts that you need to learn. Like I just said, there are the question was about temporal context, but we have physical, socio-psychological, and cultural context as well. So let's understand all these contexts. Fine. So what is the meaning of context? First of all, context is a situation. Context is a situation in which the communication is taking place. Fine. So whenever you do a communication, you do it in a particular situation. There are some factors which can affect your communication. So all that will be coming under your context. So context can be a situation, context can be a factor which affects your communication, right? So how you communicate changes with where you are, with the person you are, the event you are, the belief you have, everything. Matlab, whatever, or the way I'm communicating is different in the class. I'll not do so same in the meeting room, right? The same way I'll not communicate when I'm with my friends, same way I'll not communicate when I'm with my family, you know? So the way you communicate depends on where you are, and that is what exactly the context is. So in short, if in 2 words we have to define what context is, so you can simply say the context is the situation, or context can be any factor on which the communication depends. The communication will change depending on the context. So there are different contexts. Every communication is affected by its context, and we can divide the context into 4 parts. One is physical context. It includes all the physical thing, the time of the day, the noise level. Suppose this room is very noisy. So what I have to do is I have to say something. If I want to say something, I have to say it on top of my voice, right? I have to basically shout like the people used to do in party. They have to talk to other person. They have to shout, you know? So physical thing, everything that comes in the physical, like for example, location, the time, the noise level, etc. These are all the physical context. Okay. Whereas temporal context is the expectation on the basis of past experience. Like I just told you, this person always used to call his friends to the party, so this to the coffee shop to tell them about the future plan. So this time also his friends has this expectation they are going to learn about his future plan. So this is a temporal context. Okay. Socio-psychological. So socio-psychological says the social relation with a person that affects your way of communicating. So psychological is mind, and socio is related to the other person. So the way you communicate, the way you behave with the person depends on the relation you have with the other person. For example, if I have an informal relation with someone, for example, the other person is my sister, the other person is my brother, so the way of communicating will be different. But the way of communicating with the boss will be different. Even if I'm very angry, I'll not show it to my boss. If that other person is my brother or sister, if I'm angry or if I'm upset, I'll tell them. I'll show them my emotions, but I'll control my emotions when I'm talking to a boss. So that is what a socio-psychological is. You balance emotional state and the personal relation. So social is related with people, and psychological is how you control your mind, how you control your emotions, right? So if I talk about Rahul, so he's in a bad mood, but he has a meeting with his boss. So what will he do? He will remain professional. He will hide his mood, and he will be very professional. Whenever whatever he's going to communicate with the boss, he'll be very professional. For example, if you are a salesperson, so even if you're not feeling good, you'll not show it to your customer. So that is what a socio-psychological. That is the relationship with others. We balance our emotions with them. If the relationship is very close, we'll not balance the emotion. We'll be emotionally we'll be blunt, but we'll control the emotions if the person if we have the professional relation with the other person. Or we can say, instead of professional relation, we can say if we have impersonal relation, we'll control the emotions. But if we have personal relation, we'll not control the emotion. Clear, everyone? Yes. And the last is cultural context. So the communication, the way you communicate depends a lot on the cultural background of a person. For example, the values, the beliefs, the lifestyle, behavior of a person. Everything is going to affect the way I or the other person communicate. For example, I'm communicating, that depends a lot on my culture, the way I'm communicating. The way I'm thinking will be reflected in my communication, right? The whatever values I have will be reflected in the way I talk. So cultural context has a lot of bearing on your communication, the way you communicate. So there are four contexts of communication. The four contexts of communication are: you will be very productive when you communicate. It simply means that you will be focusing on what is important and you will not focus on emotions. You'll not focus on something that's not required. So basically the productive tone means over here, whatever required, you'll only communicate that. Whatever will give you good results, you will communicate over here. So there are four contexts. One is the physical context, so the physical environment will be coming here. We have temporal context, so here expectations. Then we have the socio psychological, so the balance between emotions and the relationship will be there. And then lastly we have the cultural context. So how you communicate depends upon your values, depends upon your culture, right? So these are the various contexts. Next, listening. So what is listening? We all know listening simply means not just hearing other party's message, but listening means hearing with understanding. So right now all of you here trying to listen to whatever I'm talking about, right? You are trying to hear and understand, take out meaning from whatever message has been given to you. That is what a listening is. Listening is one of the four pillars of communication. So this line is also very important. Question can be asked from here, the four pillar of communication. Four pillar of communication is speaking, obviously, reading, writing, and listening. Okay? So you have to speak. If you want to communicate, you have to speak. Then only you will be able to share whatever is there in your mind with other. You have to listen if you are communicating, because communication is all about understanding. So if you listen to other person, or if other person will listen to you, then only understanding can be created. So another important thing. Then reading and writing. Communication can be done with oral words as well as written words. You should be, when you are doing a communication, you need to write as well, and if the message is in written form, you have to read as well. So these are the four pillars of communication. Communication depends on all these four things, so do remember it. Yes, it is LSRB, absolutely. So listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So listening is the first step towards understanding and communicating. So what is exactly listening we have done? It is different from hearing, because in hearing the voice is just falling into your ears, but when you put an attempt to understand it, that is what a listening is. So that is okay, but the question comes from here. The various types of listening. One is discriminating listening. Discriminative, when you can distinguish, for example, all the female voices, but you can find out, you can recognize which is your mother's voice, which is your auntie's voice, or which is a stranger's voice. You will be able to recognize. So that is a discriminative listening. So when you have lots of, or when you have different sounds, like for example, you are listening to a music, and then you are able to tell, okay, this is guitar, this is piano over here playing. So that is what a discriminative means. Similar sounds may, you will be able to distinguish, okay, this is this and this is that. So when you listen to distinguish, that is discriminative listening. Comprehensive listening is when you are trying to understand the thing as a whole. Comprehensive understanding and as a whole. So when you are trying to listen to the whole of speaker's words, when you are trying to have comprehension, understanding, like you over here, everyone over here, trying to have comprehensive listening, you are trying to understand what I'm talking about. You are not doing discriminative listening at all over here, but here you are doing comprehensive listening, trying to understand what I am talking about. You are also listening to learn, right? So comprehensive learning is a learning in which you try to understand the speaker's words. Informational listening is a listening where you listen to learn. Like we listen to music for entertainment. We listen to music for like we are not feeling good, so we listen to music to feel good. But here in this class or any YouTube video from where you are trying to learn something, so that will be your informational listening. Informational listening is when you are listening to gather new informations or facts, like you listen to a news show or anything. So that is informational listening. Biased or selective listening, this also happens ki sometimes if someone is talking to you, you will not listen to everything. You will not do a comprehensive listening, you will not listen to whole, but you'll select few things from there. For example, someone is talking to you, maybe you are fighting with the other person, so the other person is telling you, you did this wrong, you will not listen, you will ignore. But the moment this person will start talking to you, okay, yes, I like this in you, but this is not good, so whatever good thing that person talks about, you'll listen, but you'll ignore the rest. So that is biased or selective listening. When listener is not listening to whole, but he is listening to confirm his previously held bias. Matlab, I only take what I believe. Like if you go to someone and you start explaining, or you start telling him you should do this, you should not do this, so the other person will not listen to everything, right? He will only listen to what he wants. So this is a biased listening. Yes. Can you now hear me? Can you now see me, everyone? Fine. Yes, there was some server issue, not network issue. So everything was fine from my end, but still I couldn't connect to the class. So there was some server issue, but now it's fine. So yes, let's continue again. So I have already explained till here, I believe. You got problem from here. So let's do from bias listening again. So bias listening is when you are biased. You don't want to listen to everything the other person is saying, but you only want to listen to selected things. So that is a bias listening. Like if someone is trying to explain, you think someone is wrong, right? And now that person tries to explain you his point of view. So you will not listen. You will say, okay, you don't tell me. I know it already. So that is a bias listening. You will not listen. Fine. Critical listening is when you are listening to evaluate and analyze. Evaluate and analyze means you are not listening to take the information. You think, no, I know it. But now you listen to other person's point of view just to evaluate whether this person is saying it correct or whether this person is not correct. Fine. So that is critical listening. So example, teacher taking test. This is critical listening. Another example of this could be critical listening when you want to take a decision. So you will listen to different point of views and then you will evaluate which one you will go with. So that is again a critical listening. Comprehensive listening, when you try to understand, you listen to complete information you are getting and then you try to understand. Discriminate, when you try to discriminate between, when you listen to discriminate between similar sounds. Next is empathetic listening. You listen to understand others' feeling and emotion. So that is empathy or empathetic listening. Defensive listening is opposite to empathetic listening. You don't listen to understand others' person emotions or feelings, but what you are doing is the listener feel defensive due to sense of guilt, jealousy or insecurity. So they respond in anger. Any conversation descends into shouting as the listener misinterprets speaker's intent. So basically the defensive listening is you're not trying to understand the emotions of the other person, right? But you are trying to understand it in your way. That is defensive listening. Actually, it is shutting the eyes, shutting the brain towards or just showing the back towards other person's emotion. That is defensive listening. But understanding other person feeling emotion is empathetic listening. So these are the various types of listening. I'll quickly repeat in case you missed anything. Discriminating is differentiating things. You listen to differentiate. Comprehensive listening is you try to understand the whole, you listen to the whole information, you try to understand the whole as it is. Informational listening is when you listen to learn. Bias listening is you're not listening to learn things, but you are just listening, right? You are just listening to the information, to the selected information that you want to listen, right? Like for example, someone is telling you their point of view, so you will not listen to whole of their point of view, but to selected few information that you wanted answer of. So that is a selective listening. Critical listening hoga when you are listening to evaluate. Empathetic listening is when you understand the feeling, when you are listening to understand the feeling. But defensive listening is not for understanding the feeling, but whatever you get to listen to the other person, you will criticize it. So no, the defensive and selective both are different. See, selective may, if this much has been communicated, we will just take these few informations from the other person. It can also happen in class. For example, you believe, no, types of communication I know, but this I have to study. So you will only listen to the listening wala portion and you may ignore the type of listening wala part. So that is what a selective listening is. But defensive is, suppose someone comes and tell you, today I was not feeling good now, that is why I shouted. So now you started criticizing, but still you shouldn't have done this. How can you be so emotionless? That is a defensive. When you are into fight, when you're not understanding others' emotions, so that is a defensive listening. Clear? Yes. Okay. Next, coming on to 5 stages. 5 stages of critical listening process, or 5 stages of listening. So 5 stages of listening, this has been given by Joseph DeVito in 2000. He said that listening has 5 stages. First, you receive, the information falls into your ear. You try to understand, you remember that information, your mind remembers it, it gets stored in your working memory, short-term memory. You evaluate the information, whether you agree with it, you don't agree with it, you have understood, you haven't understood, on the basis of which you will give a feedback. So the step that has been given by DeVito is you receive, you understand, and then you remember. RUR. You receive, you understand, you remember. These two similar to, you can say Bloom, but not all. So you receive, you understand, and then you remember. Then you evaluate, and then you do response. Fine. So it's RRR. Okay. And then UE. Clear? So this is ruler. It becomes a ruler. So these are the 5 stages of listening. Clear here? Response is feedback only. Any doubt in this? No. Okay. So now we'll start with today's topic, which is types of communication. So communication has various types, and this is very important. Examining questions directly gets asked from this topic. So there are these many types of communication: interpersonal, which is also known as dyadic; intrapersonal, group communication; mass or mediated. One more category you can add over here is public communication. So the 5 types of communication on the basis of relationship. Then we have the communication on the basis of purpose and style. It can be formal and informal communication. The communication on the basis of direction. So we have 2, vertical and diagonal. So talking about vertical, horizontal, and diagonal, it's 3. Fine. So talking about the communication can be divided into broadly into three categories. Although we have more, we can divide the communication on the basis of the words, whether we are using words or we are not using words. Verbal hoga, non-verbal hoga. We can divide communication on the basis of whether we are in face-to-face contact or not. So it will be direct or indirect. So these are some other parts. Verbal, non-verbal, we'll do separately in one of the class. Direct, indirect, we have already done. So these are three broad classification that we'll cover in this class. Also, two more additional concepts on which the question has been asked in 2023. So we'll do this. Internal, external. So internal communication, like for example, Byju's. So if Baiju communicates to its employee, like internally sends the email to its employee, so that is what internal communication is. Like you all are my students, and if I communicate to you, that will be our external communication. But within the organization, communication happening, so internal. Outside the organization, information happening, so that is external communication. For example, school. So school may the teachers and every staff. So if a school communicates to its staff, that is internal. But a school communicates to the students or government or other school. So that will be external. Fine. So external communication is sharing information between a company or organization and any person from external environment. Communication internal hogi when it takes place between the members of the organization. Clear hai? Now the question that has been asked related to external communication in the previous year 2023 is media kit. So what is this media kit? I'll explain this concept in mass communication class. So media kit is basically a promotional measure a person can use or an organization can use media kit to promote himself or the organization. How can be student external? Because see, the students are customers. Huh? Matlab, if I say that for Byju's, the students are customers. Hai na? So if I'm communicating to my customer, that is an external communication. Supplier, investor, government, that is external. Clear? Yes. Now, interpersonal communication. When a communication happens between two or more person and it happens face to face, so that is interpersonal. So interpersonal means what? Between. So when a communication happens between the person, so that is interpersonal. When it happens face, generally this communication, generally it will happen face to face. There can be two person, there can be more than two person, but the communication happens between these two person, and the basic, I would say, the result of this communication is the relationship gets built. This communication helps in building relationship. How and why? Because when you are into a face-to-face communication now, you not only get to listen to the other person's words, but you also get to see the way he's communicating his feelings, emotions. Also you can see through non-verbal ways, and that helps you understand other person's feelings, emotions. So interpersonal communication tries, or it helps in building the relationship, right? This communication has three stages, and the three stages of interpersonal communication are phatic, personal, intimate. When you meet a person and when you greet that person, so that is phatic stage. Next comes your personal stage. So when you have greeted the person, hi, hello has been done. Now when you start introducing yourself, like you start adding some personal details, you start telling about you, okay, I work at so and so place, I live here and there, so whatever it is. So that is a personal stage. When you bring in personal information, not very personal, not very secret kind of an information, but yes, you share some general information about yourself. So that is a personal stage. Intimate stage is when you become very close. Not all communication or not all interpersonal communication will come into this intimate stage. For example, okay, for example, you met someone in the office, you are still into personal phase, and that can happen. That can be completely okay, because not everyone you will go into intimate stage with. You are in office, you are in a professional relationship, you will talk, you will share some information, but not all information. So you will always be in that personal stage. But it can also happen that slowly, gradually, you became very good friends, and then you started sharing everything related to yourself, your secrets and everything. So that is intimate. So the close friends family enters into this intimate stage, not everyone. So these are the three stages of interpersonal communication. Is it clear? Fatigue is simply hi, hello. When you greet a person, when you meet a person, you greet hi, hello. For example, you went to a party, someone introduces you with the other person. So what you will do, you will shake hand, you'll say hi, hello, how are you? So that is the fatigue stage. Interpersonal communication starts with fatigue stage, and then you move to personal and then interpersonal, intimate stage. Media kit we'll do in a separate class, not today. Next, two important things that you need to know as well: dialectic method, Socratic method. Right. So what is a dialectic method? It's a discourse. What is the meaning of discourse? Anyone? Yes, discourse is dialogue. Discourse in simple is communication. So communication between two or more person holding different viewpoint is a dialectic method. Dialectic method, suppose I hold different point of view and you hold different point of view. We come together, we sit together and we try to come to a truth. We come to a truth, we want to come to a truth, and therefore we are ready to have arguments. Matlab, I will listen to your point of view, now you will listen to my point of view, and then we'll discuss and we'll come at one conclusion. This is a dialectic method. We say the people who are not in a very good relationship, maybe they had a fight previously, so we ask them, you sit like an adult, you talk, you let it go, right? So what they will do, they will talk about their viewpoint, the other person will talk about their viewpoint, and then they'll come to the conclusion, okay, let's do this, let's end and let's do this. So this can be one of the example of dialectic method. So here one example is also given. There can be two situations which is very conflicting but can be true at the same time. Snowing and it is spring. So you might see that there is a conflict. We'll take this example so it will be more clear. There is one elephant. So excuse me for my drawing. I can make a better elephant than this. Not this bad drawing I'm having, but my drawing is not that good. Okay, suppose this is an elephant and one person standing here and one person standing here. Fine. This person touching the tail and this person is touching the trunk. Okay. So what will happen? This person has different viewpoint. This person has different viewpoint. Both have different viewpoint, but both are correct at the same time. So when these two person having two different viewpoints sit together, discuss, and then they come to consensus, that is a dialectic method. Clear hai? Ha, Richa. It's like a debate, you can say. Let me know. Clear? Okay. So basically, you can say dialectic method mein what is happening is the two person has different viewpoint, both are correct. Both are correct, but they have different viewpoint. When they sit together, through reasoned argument, they are trying to establish a truth. This is dialectic method. Next, we have is Socratic method. Socratic method, known as method of lunches and Socratic debate method. Conclusion, yes, it should be there. They should come to one conclusion. Now we come on to the Socratic method. So talking about the Socratic method, it is a kind of a debate. Fine, where the teacher is asking questions. Teacher is asking question. For example, teacher pick up one of the student and then teacher ask question. Whatever answer the student is giving, the teacher will counter question. Why only this? Why not this? So this is kind of a debate where teacher is asking question. Teacher is asking the student to defend their answers as well. So Socratic method is a cooperative, argumentative dialogue between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate thinking. So teacher will ask questions which the student have to answer, which will basically stimulate the thinking of the student, right? So Socratic method uses questions to stimulate the dialectic. The dialectic is just debate or class of idea. Note, this can be two or more perspective, not necessarily two. Dialectic method की अगर हम बात करें, two person have two different viewpoints. Socratic method में we uses this कि people have different viewpoints. They can have multiple viewpoints. We'll have questions. We'll arrange a debate so that the people can discuss their viewpoint and they can understand everyone's viewpoint. So this is the basic difference between. This is the basic difference between both. Rapid fire, no, not rapid fire. Rapid fire, you just have to answer several questions. Basically, this is debate. That is also debate. This is also debate. But here, the conclusion will be reached. There will be one conclusion that the two party reaching at. There will be two viewpoints that the person has. But in Socratic, there can be different perspectives. First, this is a debate method which intends to stimulate critical thinking. Here, the critical thinking is not main. The main aim of dialectic method is reaching at one conclusion. Clear? ठीक है. Next, intrapersonal. नहीं, endless नहीं होगा. Critical thinking stimulate करेंगे. Okay, why do you think so? So every person has different viewpoint. So what a teacher will do, teacher will pick up one student, will ask question, and then the students will be supposed to defend their answer. Teacher will say, why only this? Why do you think this is the answer? So the student have to defend. Next is intrapersonal communication, when you talk to yourself. Like imagination, like visualization. You are trying to recall things. You are trying to memorize things. That is intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication mein planning, problem solving, anything. Like in the morning you woke up, you planned, right? You planned. So what actually you are doing is you are doing communication with yourself. That is intrapersonal. Intra means within. right? Intra means within. So this is intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication includes a transpersonal communication. What is the transpersonal communication? When you communicate to God, when you meditate, you may think you are communicating to spirits. So all this is your transpersonal communication, because that there is no other person. Like you are praying, so praying may you can't see the God, you think the God is around you, you are talking to God, you think that, yeah? So that is transpersonal communication. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Prayer is transpersonal, exactly. Next, mass communication or mediated communication. So mass communication क्या होता है? When you communicate to mass audience, means large. Yes, Rucha. Dialectic, Socratic, whatever we have done just now comes under interpersonal only. Next is mass communication, when you communicate to large number of people. है ना? So that is what mass communication. So mass audience, large audience, mass communication. It is synonym to convenience. Why? Because mass communication is very convenient. Like for example, you have to call to 5 of your relatives. So what will you do? You'll call them one by one, and then TV channels, they communicate to lakhs of people. Example. Now they have two options: send them individually the videos through this email. But what do? TV channel, do they do this? No. They actually use electrical signals, and the message they create once, and this message multiplies and reach to large number of audience, right? So this is what the convenience is. You don't have to repeat the message again for everyone, but instead you use a media which multiplies the message and takes it to larger number of people. So that is what convenience is. Channel through which mass communication takes place is mass media. Mass media may we use a mechanical device which multiplies your message and takes it to large number of people at the same time. Now, examples: mass communication example, radio, television, film, newspaper, magazine. Also, you have YouTube channel, you have all the social media platforms. So these are mass communication ways. It is a special kind of a communication in which you have to consider the nature of your audience, and then only you can communicate. You always have to think of the nature of audience. Whom am I going to communicate? Because here the audience will be heterogeneous. Okay, audience will be heterogeneous, matlab there will be different audience involved. Now, for which category of audience you are making a message, you have to think of that, and then only you can communicate. Here, so here you always have to think about your audience, and then only you should communicate. First thing, the feedback in this communication will be very different. When you are in a face-to-face communication, you will get immediate feedback. But immediate feedback where? In interpersonal communication. But when you are doing a mass communication, either you will have no feedback, or the feedback will be delayed. Matlab later you will get the feedback. Clear? This class is not mass communication, this is group communication, because we have a clear goal. Here we are having a clear goal when we are doing this communication. So group communication, when you will learn the characteristics of it, you will understand. Hanji. Clear hai? How we get feedback in mass communication mein there are TRP, television rating points, that gives you a feedback. You can also like share the feedback on the social media platform, like people do tweet. If they don't like, they may end up protesting. So feedbacks ka different way hota hai. You will not get a direct feedback, you will get an indirect feedback, and also you will get a delayed feedback. Next we come TRP is television rating point. Next is public communication. We did mass communication, so I'll just make a diagram of mass communication. So suppose this is the source. Source wants to give you a message. So what a source will do, will use a media, and through this media the source will reach to the audience. Okay, this is what mass communication. Now if I remove this media, if there is no media, there is a source, there is a receiver, and there are large number of receiver. Fine, large number of receiver we have in your mass communication, but now here also we are having large number of receivers, but there is no media in between. That is a public communication. Example, political rally. Example, railway announcement. In the airport you have announcement. This is what a public communication is. So public communication is you are there in front of the audience, you are communicating to the audience, you are there in front of them, So the physically you are present there. Physically you are present with the audience only, but the audience is very large. But you're not using any media between you and your audience. So that is public communication. Public communication may there are the sender and receiver at the same place. Unlike the mass communication. Unlike the mass communication, the sender and receiver not at the same place. Clear hai? Like political rallies, exactly. Nirupama, please ask it once again. So basically, public communication is nothing but public communication is without media. When you are communicating to large number of people, like for example, Modi ji comes to a place, like he comes to Jaipur in any of the place. Now, huge crowd will gather there. Now, when Modi ji addresses the crowd, when he's there in front of the crowd, he's communicating to whole of the people there. So, is there a media involved? No. Directly, he's addressing the crowd now. So, this is a person or a source communicating to large number of people, but without a media in between. This is public communication. Like you are there in a railway station. So, what will happen? Mic use hoga, speakers use honge, but there is no media. The message will not be taken out of this railway station. It will be there in that railway station only. So this is what public communication is. What was the common conclusion in case of elephant? Elephant, they will come to this conclusion ki yes, you were at the backside. So therefore, you were thinking like this. I was in the front, so I was thinking like this. So the common thing is ki elephant has, in the front, it has these features, at the back, it has these features. Right? So this is the common conclusion. Fine. So yes, this is public communication. Public communication में mic use होगा. Public communication में speakers can be used, but a media which multiplies the message to large number of people will not be used. Clear? Now, group communication. So what is group communication? How is it different from mass? So few features of mass that you need to know. Mass communication में audience will be very large and the audience will be anonymous. That means you don't know. Audience are not known. You don't know who your audience will be, who all will listen to you. But a group communication, the audience will be known. Audience की identity होगी. You will know who are your audience. For example, this classroom. In this class, I know ki who all can listen to me. Who all can listen to the message that I'm giving. My batch students. All those students who are enrolled into this batch. No one can come and just listen to my message, but only my class students. So that is a group communication. Mass communication में audience large होती है. Mass communication में heterogeneous audience are there, means the audience are different. But in group communication, we have a common goal. So we can say audience are of similar nature. Mass communication में delayed feedback you will get. Group communication and both the ways you can get feedback same time and delayed as well. Now let's learn about the characteristic of group communication. Group communication में there will be a goal. Like here, if I'm communicating, we have a very clear goal and the goal is UGC NET and JRF. We know that this is our goal and therefore we have gathered here and we are trying hard to achieve this goal, being a group member. So group can be large, group can be small, but the characteristic of group is that the identity is known. Everyone will know the identity. Group has a common goal and it is extension of interpersonal. Interpersonal में 2 people or few more people will be there. But in mass communication, group communication, there will be people greater than the interpersonal communication. In the group communication, you will be coming together, exchange your views, you will learn from each other. For example, in the doubt section, there is this feature ki if someone has asked a doubt, either the teacher will reply or the students can also go and reply. So you have opportunity to discuss views, you have opportunity to exchange views, and the group communication is meant to achieve the goals of a group. So group communication ke kuch features, goals there, identity is there. Identity is known. And the group member will discuss things and will learn from each other. Clear? Any doubt so far? Okay, clear? Fine. Now, few terms that we need to learn. So this is repetition. This is nothing different. Repetition. So few terms we need to learn. One is group cohesion, and the group cohesion is nothing but the bonding or bonds. So group cohesion, if you have a good bond, it allows group member to work together easily, feel more positive about their work. Okay, so this is cohesion, the bond between the members. Then we have this concept, social loafing. Generally, this happens. This is the disadvantage of group work. You can say this is disadvantage of group work, which is social loafing. And if you see in this picture, group work has been assigned, but only these 3 participating, and this person is taking advantage. He's standing, ideally he's not doing anything, but he's just standing because he know even if he put more efforts or if he just dedicate more towards the group goal, everyone is going to get equal credit. So this person very cunningly, he is not putting efforts, or it can happen that some person put less efforts to achieve the goal because they know that even if I'll work hard, I'll get the equal credit. So I will not put in more effort. But if this person has to work alone, this person will put in more effort. This concept is known as social loafing, right? Do you agree with this? Do you understand this concept now? Yes. Okay. Angie, understood. Now talking about how can we reduce social loafing by collaborating. Collaborating means giving everyone a task. So if there is a group work, divide the work among everyone so that everyone is responsible for their own work. So in this case, no one will be able to escape from the responsibility. Content, make every work important. Identify the importance of every task. Sometimes it happens that group members don't put in more effort because they think that they have got the very lame task to do. This is not at all important, so they don't put in more effort. To avoid this, what you can do is identify the importance of every task. Choice, give everyone the choice so that they get what they want to do, and if everyone is getting something that they want to do, so they'll put in effort. Sometimes it may happen you have got a task which you're not interested in, so in this case also you will not put in efforts. Minimize free riding, let the individual know that their work is essential for the group success. So when you tell everyone that your work is very, very important, we need your work so that we can be successful. So in this case also, what will happen? The social loafing can be reduced. Evaluate everyone individually. So when everyone is evaluated individually and not the group will be getting the common marks. So in this case also, when we know we are being evaluated individually, we'll put in efforts. Ask the group members to evaluate their group people. So when we know okay, the one whom I'm working with, they are also going to evaluate me, we'll behave well in the group. And reduce the group size, because when you have a very large group, the work cannot be divided. It can also happen that work is less but people more. So in this case, social loafing hogi. But if we have a small group, then everyone will get their task, get the share of the work, and therefore the social loafing could be reduced. Next, on the basis of purpose and style, this communication we will start in next class. Right? Purpose, style, we have formal communication, we have informal communication. Also, the direction is left. So these two topics we will be doing in the next class. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Stay safe, all of you. Bye-bye.